shows that the PCR test is practically worthless. Only 3% of patients with a positive test actually have the COVID virus. People have died, yes, that's true, but using case numbers gives a false picture of what is really going on. Here's a graph showing the COVID cases reported each week in Canada. Even I get frightened looking at this graph. But now let's put the weekly deaths on the same chart. Where are all the deaths that we would expect to follow the cases curve? Something is really fishy here. Let's look at yearly deaths in Canada from 2001. It's pretty hard to show that we've even had a pandemic. The slight increase in 2020 was probably due to an aging population. But are hospital intensive care units overloaded with COVID patients? If we look at the Ontario intensive care unit data, there are fewer patients in the ICU in 2020 than in each of the previous 3 years. The CDC's own data compares COVID to seasonal flu. In children, COVID illness is so mild, their death rate is statistically 0. For people under 50, the infection survival rate is greater than 99.98%. And for those over 70, it is 94.6%. And that is without any early treatment whatsoever, like vitamin D or vitamin C. So if you're young, you really don't have anything to worry about. If you're older, well, we're going to give you some really great ideas on how to protect your health that do not include getting a shot with the vaccine.
So back in April, we knew so little about COVID, and this led us to take a lot of extra precautions, including adopting the idea that healthy people can spread disease. This is known as asymptomatic spread, and that's a very scary thought. Now, however, over 10 million cases have been studied, and evidence is rapidly emerging both from Wuhan and the University of Florida, showing that asymptomatic and pre-symptomatic spread are negligible to non-existent. This is a game changer. This means that we can take our lives back and go back to the time-tested advice I've always given my patients when they have a virus. If you're sick, stay home, and the rest of us can be free to live our lives.
I am not afraid of this coronavirus, and you do not need to be afraid either. We've evolved with these respiratory viruses over thousands and thousands of years, and we've developed a highly intelligent and very sophisticated immune system. We support and strengthen our immune system when we eat nutritious food, when we engage in physical activity, when we spend time in nature and feel supported by life. Vitamin D is a critical nutrient for our immune system. When we supplement with vitamin C, with zinc, with magnesium, our immune system is primed and ready to go. In spite of suboptimal diets and widespread vitamin D deficiencies, most people who encounter the coronavirus do not require hospitalizations, but are able to manage their symptoms at home. I myself had COVID-19 11 months ago, and I responded to the early viral symptoms the way I always do. I took vitamin D, 60,000 international units each day until the symptoms were gone. It took 2 days. The fact that I am here talking to you is proof that our bodies know what to do.
I have more than 40 years experience practicing medicine here in Canada, and at least 30 of those have been as a specialty anesthesiologist with the FRCPC. Anesthesiologists are well accepted as clinical pharmacologists by other physicians because we know the risk-benefit ratio about drugs. In addition, safe and long experienced use of older drugs can be very useful in combating a new problem, such as COVID. With this in mind, in reviewing the literature, I treat my patients with early COVID-19 with quercetin, zinc, vitamin C, vitamin D. If you're able to get a prescription, hydroxychloroquine, and azithromycin. In addition, I have used ivermectin for post-COVID symptoms with some success. If needed, oxygen supplementation with nasal specs, often based on what your personal oximeter, which I recommend, says for you.
Viruses naturally change over time and new strains emerge. Since a virus cannot live alone but depends upon human cells to live, it makes evolutionary sense that it will become less dangerous, not more so over time. If it becomes more easily spread, but less likely to make you really sick, then that is a good natural progression towards herd immunity. The COVID virus is no different. Over all the time we have studied viruses, that is what they have always done. Adapt to humans as humans adapt to them. We can all relax, since viruses always become less likely to